So, welcome to Surfing Your Edge Live. I am with my wonderful guest today, Ann Gordon. She is the person who helped me get my first retreat up and running much faster than I ever thought possible. She basically walked me through it and helped me lead a retreat in Panama, a country I had never been to before, and do it with confidence. So I'm really happy to share her with you again. She's been running successful whale and dolphin wisdom retreats internationally since 2007. She shares the wisdom of the dolphins and the whales through transformational retreats of her own so that her guests can spend time with and deepen your spiritual connection with the natural world. And she's also a retreat success coach. You're going to hear more about that today. She loves to share her comprehensive knowledge and experience of leading lucrative retreats in the last 13 years with coaches, healers, and transformational leaders. And she is dedicated to empowering you to easily create, fill, and lead the transformational retreats that you've been dreaming of. I know not all of you are in the space yet where you're going to be leading a retreat, but if you ever are, I'm giving you 100% recommendation to work with Ann. She's fantastic. Hi, Ann. Thank you so much for being with me today.
Hi, Christine. It's great to be here.
All righty. It's Sunday afternoon here. It's noon where you are. And I'm feeling a little bit wonky, but we're just going to jump right in and conversation goes.
It's Sunday. We can do that.
Yes. All right. So as I said, Ann is, she helps other retreat leaders lead their own retreats. She teaches people how to do that. She also, like with me, she helped me plan mine, and then she goes along with me to help run the logistics so that I can just be the retreat leader and she can be the behind the scenes magician. And she also leads retreats of her own. But when COVID hit and the world shut down, that really changed the landscape for her as it did all travel professionals. And when the US decided that it was time to go into lockdown, Ann was actually leading a retreat in Baja, Mexico, where she was swimming with,
we weren't swimming, we were actually touching and loving on the gray whales who come right up to the boats.
Gray whales. So yeah, I was watching the world kind of shut down, knowing that she was somewhere else on a boat somewhere with whales, and wondering what her experience was. So can you tell me a little bit about that and what it was like to be on that magical experience in the water with amazing creatures and then to come home to this craziness?
Yeah, it was pretty surreal. It was almost like we were on a different planet, because not only were we, busy on our retreat, having a good time, but we stay at an eco resort that's completely off the grid. So there's no Wi-Fi, the only electricity is solar and a generator that they run for 3 hours in the evening. Not even cell signal can get through. It's so remote. So as we were driving up to the location, to the eco hotel, and we were losing our cell signal, we were in this big van, and I invited all of my participants, because of course we've been hearing stuff and people were talking about, hey, we may not be able to get back home after all of this, because there was talk of border shutdowns and not to the extent where we're at now. We didn't really anticipate that, but the rumors were there. So I invited everybody to completely disengage from the outside world, to be fully present, and to not even have a conversation about what might or might not be happening away from our little world of hanging out with gray whales every day. And it was really beautiful, and it was a great exercise, because that's the whole purpose of retreats, right? Is to get away and disconnect from our busy lives. But it's natural, it's human nature to want to talk about, oh, I wonder if, and what's going on, and we don't know. But it was great. Nobody brought it up until we were on our ride back to civilization. And it was just amazing to be in these 3-4 days of complete whale bliss, going out every day, having gray whales and their mamas and babies come right up to the boat and loving on them and singing to them, and just so much fun and lots of laughter and play. We did have a couple of days of heavy rain on the first 2 days, which is highly unusual in the desert in Baja, Mexico, right? But what happened, we'd heard a couple little rumors, and I was like, yeah, whatever, we'll deal with it when we get there. Well, the morning we were supposed to leave, we were going to have breakfast and go out on the water one more time and then head out. Well, at breakfast, the staff came to me and said, I'm not sure if you can get out. The road's washed out.
Oh my.
There is a river where the road is. And I was like, yay, more whale time. Okay, I'm happy to stay here. Some of my participants were a little concerned because they did have jobs and flights they had to get back for. But because I set the bar at, yay, this is a great opportunity, instead of, oh my God, what are we gonna do? We went out, we played with the whales, we came back, and they said, well, the road's still washed out, but we can get you across. And they literally had a rowboat and a rope and a bunch of strong guys.
Oh my gosh.
We had to pile our suitcases and us into this little rowboat, 3 at a time, and they'd pull us across, and it was literally waist deep on the guys, this rushing water. And it was like this interesting metaphor for crossing back into the turbulence and the chaos and the craziness that we were about to become aware of.
Wow.
So it was a fascinating, I mean, we had a great time. And so when we came back, we were able to all fly back home, and we got home, and to me, I was in such whale bliss that it was really hard to fathom that everybody's talking about, okay, we're on lockdown and people aren't working, and all of this was beginning, and it was just like, really? I'm just in such joy. What's everybody so worried about? But it was really a strange homecoming.
I can imagine. I really can. And was there any kind of crash for you, or did you just kind of melt into the new reality?
I kind of melted into the new reality. And really, for me, it was a crazy time despite all of the pandemic happening, because I was supposed to, my original schedule was come home, and then 3 days later, I was going to fly to Denver and participate, having a booth at the Body, Mind, Spirit Expo there. And I got home to find that was canceled. And I had to move out of my house on March 25th.
Oh my.
And I had been looking and had not found a place. So that was kind of on my mind, not so much pandemic stuff. It was just like, I got to figure out where I'm going to live. And at least I don't have to worry about going to Denver and dealing with that. So now I can find a place. And I actually didn't find a place, and I considered, because I lived in Panama for 15 years, and I came literally that close to going back, because I have an apartment there and I could just go back.
Mm-hmm.
And I have internet there. So, since everybody was going to be working online, I could do that. Because the whole ironic part is one of the reasons I moved back to California was for my business. It made more sense to be in California, where I could do physical networking and going to events and meet people in person. And look, now we're back online, and I could do that from Panama.
Right.
But I decided that it just didn't feel right. Felt like I was going backwards. So a friend of mine has a boat in Northern California in the Bay Area, and invited me to go live on his boat for as long as I wanted. So I did. I packed up and drove up and lived on his boat for about a month. So that was fun, because I grew up on boats. So that was really fun. And that's when it was kind of like, then the whole pandemic thing is like, oh, everybody's wearing masks. I can't go into the grocery store without a mask. I guess I better get one. Uh,
Yeah.
it was a little odd.
Yeah. And that actually makes me think about, I know you handled that pretty gracefully. You handle everything very gracefully, but in my last retreat, you were with me and you led us in a meditation. And I don't know how you started it other than I imagined myself in water heading toward a rock, and the rock was my biggest obstacle. And I don't know what you actually said, but my experience was really powerful in that I, was heading for this rock, and then suddenly I was with the water, I was the water, and I went spinning around the rock, and then the rock was in the rear view, and then the rock was not even visible, and then amazing other things happened that we won't go into. But I just feel like one of the things that I see you embody a lot is being the water, and just flowing and just knowing that whatever's there, you're going to find your way around it. So I don't know if it feels that way to you, but that's the way it looks from the outside.
Well, it's not always easy. I mean, I certainly have my challenges and get stuck as well. But yeah, I try to. I mean, that's something the dolphins have taught me is to go with the flow and to just use that flow and go literally work around the challenges rather than letting them stop me, because there is always a way around. It may not be. We may have to think outside the box to come up with what that way around is.
Right.
But it's always looking at it from a new perspective. And yeah, that comes from the dolphins. They taught me how to do that. And
Yeah.
it's a very valuable tool.
Yeah. And it also comes down to being here now and not fighting what is. What is not at all what any one of us would have ever imagined. Mm-hmm. But fighting against it only makes it harder.
Right. It does. It totally does. Yeah.
Yeah, we have to do the best we can to accept what's going on and be creative in the new limitations. And actually, you could probably speak to that a little bit. I know that poets chose formal poetry, which has, specific meters and rhymes, because putting constraints on yourself actually forces you to be more creative. And I'm wondering if you've noticed that in your own life or in anything that you've been experiencing with this.
Yeah, for sure. And I mean, obviously, I'm all about retreats. I lead retreats. I teach people how to lead retreats. And then this giant rock in my river came called the pandemic, called the coronavirus. And it's like, holy crap, we can't travel anymore. Now what do we do? So it's funny because I had never thought of leading a virtual retreat ever. And I the thought whenever, if somebody ever brought it up or the subject came up, I just kind of thought, yeah, there's no way. I don't know how would I translate or convert my whale and dolphin retreats to virtual online, because obviously we can't get in the water, we can't see the whales and dolphins, we can't swim with them, we can't interact with them. But I thought, well, what the heck? Let me just think about this. And so I thought about it, thought, well, all the aspects of my retreats, except for the part where we're on the boat or in the water, can be translated. The meditations that I lead, the group dolphin energy healings, the wisdom that I teach, that can all be translated. And then as I was playing around with it and writing some stuff up, I thought this great term came to me, and I love it. And I don't know where it came from, whether the dolphin sent it or what, but I don't care. I thought we can take spiritual swims. And through guided meditations, I can lead people to swim with the dolphins and the whales in their mind so that it can prepare them to when we can travel. So it's the next best thing to actually, and we don't have to get in a swimsuit and we don't have to get wet.
Or
And
fly.
right? And there's no fear of, I know some people have a fear of swimming in the open ocean and all of that. And so obviously that's not there in a spiritual swim.
Nice.
Yeah,
And
it's been fun.
I've been on a couple of your live retreats in the last 2 months, and they seem to be quite a success. It's amazing. I think you noticed right away that you can create quite a bit of connection quickly online that we might not have necessarily assumed was possible.
Yeah, it was amazing. So not only did I start thinking about how I could translate my own retreats into a virtual retreat, I thought, okay, I can't teach people. People are not likely going to hire me right now to teach them how to lead a live retreat when the world is so uncertain and worried about travel. That's much harder. So I thought, well, why don't we teach them how to lead a virtual retreat? Which is a real pivot considering and by the time I came up with that idea, I hadn't done one yet. Excuse me. But I thought, well, what the heck? I know how to lead a great retreat. And so let's create a virtual retreat that's not just me delivering content like teaching a class or program, but instead bring in as many activities such as movement and visualization and games and different activities so that it feels more like a retreat than just, hey, it's a 1-day workshop, right? Or, a 3-day content delivery event kind of thing. And I was blown away as you were on that first one, how one activity I started before the participants even introduced themselves, that when we did get to the introductions as a result of that first activity, this little game we did, it was amazing. Like they were instant connected and it was beautiful. And they were like, how do we stay in connection more at the end? It was just so wonderful to watch.
Yeah, it really was. So that sets us up really nicely. I am going to ask you to lead us in a mini visualization. But before we go there, I just wanted to ask if you've mentioned a little bit about what you've learned from the whales and dolphins. And I was just, the other thing I didn't mention to any of you is that before Anne pioneered the whale and dolphin watching industry in Panama, which she did from scratch because there was just no one there doing it when she moved there. Before that, she worked in the Seattle Zoo, correct?
Woodland Park Zoo in Seattle, yep.
And with big cats. First woman to ever do that because she was the only woman strong enough to open the door.
I just use my whole body and let gravity do the rest.
But she also has done work with all kinds of animals, taking them to schools to show school children, and also setting up her own company in Hollywood where she would provide animals for television shows and movies. So she has a wide range of experience with all kinds of animals. And one of the reasons I wanted to have her on, especially now, is because we're all surfing an edge that is brand new to us. None of us have been here before, and we don't have a choice, really.
Mm-hmm.
So I just wanted to ask Anne if she had any wisdom from any of her work with animals, whether it's the whales and the dolphins or the big cats or anything, any animal she's worked with, if there are gifts she's gotten from those animals that are particularly useful in this time when we're all doing something we've never done before.
Oh, there's a big question, and where do I even go to answer that one? I mean, all animals live so much in the present moment, and they're really good at dealing with what is in front of them and not They never worry. Humans are the worst about living in tomorrow and yesterday. And the animals aren't. They're just really grateful and reacting to what's around them in that moment. And how do I survive? How do I make the best of this very moment?
Mm-hmm.
So that's a powerful one. And then the other is that for me, I've developed such a deep connection with the dolphins and whales that since I started this journey with them back, 16, 17 years ago or more, I think it's closer to 20 now, I never feel alone,
Mm.
ever. So I can be physically alone, but I am never, ever lonely,
Wow.
ever. And through the work that I've done with the dolphins and whales and how they have taught me to dive deep within myself and accept my emotions and deal with life, I have such a strong connection and faith that I'm never lonely. I really enjoy my own company. And yeah, it's nice to go out and hang out with people, but because it's harder to do that now,
Mm-hmm.
I'm fine. I'm totally good. So that is it's like this giant foundation underneath me that supports me no matter what is going on.
Yes, I think I know a little bit about what you're talking about. Yes, that sense of being held.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, very
Yeah.
nice.
Yeah.
Yay. Um, do you have an idea for a small mini meditation for us?
Well, I don't know. Uh, I say that because not to be crazy or goofy or dismissive, but that, well, like when I did that water meditation that you found so powerful,
Mm-hmm.
I didn't know what I was going to lead that time.
Right.
I often don't know. I mean, I may have an idea of what I think I should lead, and then I tune in, and it's sometimes takes it just comes on its own.
Right. And neither of us remember what you said.
No, and it kills me that I didn't record it.
So we were both so in the moment that neither of us
Yes.
remember.
Yeah, no, I don't remember. I know the gist like you do, but I could never repeat it exactly the same way. So, all right. So we can do this. So if you are at a place where it is comfortable and okay for you to just completely relax your body and even close your eyes if you can. Obviously, if you're driving, don't do that. But just kind of let your eyes go soft. You have to keep them open. Take some deep cleansing breaths. Just allow the tensions, any stresses, worries, fears, just release with each exhale. Just allow yourself to really feel and become aware of your body. Just feel your presence. With humans, we tend to stay in our minds, in our heads all the time, and almost forget that we have this body. And with the animals, they're so aware of their body at all times. And as you observe them, you see them doing things, and you're like, how can they do that? It's because of their awareness. So feel yourself really sink deep into your body. Feel yourself, feel your bottom on the chair, your feet on the floor, the air filling your lungs. Really become present with yourself in this physical body that you inhabit at this time. And through your feet and your bottom, just feel a bit of a pulling down into the earth. Feeling it's almost like you've got roots growing out of your feet and your bottom down into the earth, spreading out in all directions, giving yourself a stability that maybe you've never felt before. That you came from this earth. You are part of this earth. You are and can be in harmony with the earth. As you feel yourself stabilize, you feel a sense of peace rising up inside of you. Because not only are your roots stabilizing you, but just like the roots of a tree that bring in water and nutrients from the earth up into the body of the tree, you were bringing in the love of Mother Earth and the connection with all life on earth through your roots, into your heart, into your soul. Just feel that lightness, that warmth start in your heart. And as you're feeling the connection come up through the roots into your body, you can sense all the other life forms and how they are connected to you as they always have been. You've just forgotten that you are truly at one with all that is, and that all is well. All is as it should be. And feel this overwhelming sense of gratitude for this depth of connection. And you're feeling stronger, this deep joy and inner love coming, bubbling up through you. And this feeling can be had at any moment, just by closing your eyes, reconnecting with the earth, sending your roots into the earth, and remembering you are one, you are at one, you are love, you are peace. All right, take some deep breaths, wiggle your fingers and toes, and come on back.
Thank you, Anne. That was beautiful. Any of you who know me know now why I love Anne so much. You and I are on the same wavelength when it comes to wanting to feel that we're part of all of the life on the planet and remembering our source. And I can't remember what I call it. My mission, I think, for being a human on this planet is to reconnect people to the planet through wonder. And I think, Anne, you just did that beautifully. So thank you very much.
Thank you. My pleasure.
I know that you do many special things, and I'm thinking that the invitation, Anne has a special invitation that she'd like to extend to all of you. Do you want to introduce that, Anne?
Sure. So as I was speaking earlier about what gives me strength, what is my foundation, is my deep connection with the dolphins and whales. And you may wonder, how the heck do you get that? How does that happen? And it really can, no matter, where in the world you live, whether you're in the desert, in the mountains, and landlocked, it doesn't matter, because we're talking about the spiritual world of the dolphins and whales, and they're much more conscious than we are. And so it starts with easily through meditation, through for reading about spiritual connections with dolphins. And so I'd like to gift you with, I have a guided meditation where you will meet your dolphin spirit guide. And if you go, yeah, I don't have one of those. How do I know I have one of those? Well, here's the good news. Everybody does. Just like everybody has an angel, at least one. Everybody has at least one dolphin spirit guide. So it's a really fun, it's about a 15-minute guided meditation where you will meet your dolphin spirit guide and open a connection with him or her and be able to continue that connection from this day forward through your own meditation, through your dreams, and even in the conscious state. So you can find that at dolphinspiritguide.com. And I wish you well and blessings on your journey with your new dolphin spirit guide.
Thank you, Anne. I'm sure that's going to be a very enlightening and fun experience for a lot of people. So I appreciate you making that offer. Is there anything that you would like to add to this conversation to make it feel more complete?
I think it's really important that, again, humans, we tend to criticize and be our world's worst critic at times. And at any time, but especially now, just be really gentle with yourself, honor yourself. And one thing that the dolphins taught me is that when emotions come up, because at this time, it really is easy to get into fear and into concern and stress, but don't try and push those feelings away. Just give yourself time. And whether it's you lock yourself in a room and you're, screaming into the pillow or crying into the pillow, whatever you need to do. But I learned that when you dive deep into these emotions, give yourself permission to dive into them, that after feeling them fully, which is not, it's not comfortable, but when you do honor them and feel them fully, they just disappear. They just go away really quickly, as opposed to fighting, and just wearing yourself down with energy. And that's a real gift you can give to yourself, and teach your children how to do that as well. That's a really, really powerful skill to have, rather than push things aside that then come out and you lash out against others or you get sick. But just honor yourself, be gentle with yourself, and don't be afraid to dive into your emotions.
Very nicely said. Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Let that be our last thought for the day. So thank you very much, Anne, for joining me. I appreciate it very much. I love talking to you always. And I appreciate all of you for watching. Let us know if you have any questions for Anne, and we will get back to you whenever we see them posted. So thank you very much for sharing your day with us. We will see you again next week. I'm wishing you wonder. Thank you, Anne. Bye.
Thank you. Bye, everybody.